Greetings, my name is Jed Schlackman. I work as a holistic counselor as well as a hypnotherapist and energy healer. For this video I'll be speaking about a topic in the mental health field from a holistic mind-body perspective. This relates to a diagnosis of conversion disorder or functional neurological disorder. Conversion disorder is the name this pattern was traditionally known by, and now in our modern diagnostic system it's been given the name functional neurological disorder. So as a starting point to explore this and how you might approach therapy or treating it, I'll be referring to a quote from a book by a psychologist named Michael Lincoln. And this is the book. It's called Problematic Patterns, Behavioral, Psychological, and Psychiatric, Their Emotional Meaning. So Dr. Lincoln was very much into spirituality and mind-body medicine, as well as family systems and constellations, and looking at that kind of whole holistic, systemic viewpoint of what creates particular patterns in our lives, including physical symptoms and conditions. Now, conversion disorder is something that's been recognized as psychosomatic for a very long time. So it's symptoms which they don't find any physical or organic abnormality, we'll say. So you can go to a neurologist or other doctors, do imaging and blood tests and EEG and all these different tests to see if there's something physiologically wrong that's interfering with the person's nervous system function, and they don't find anything. The reason is obviously that there's something psychologically going on, some subconscious reason. The person is actually blocking their own nervous system from functioning in the way it normally would. So here's what the Problematic Patterns book has to say about conversion disorder. It says, in parentheses, odd physical symptoms like hysterical blindness and glove anesthesia. So a person might act as though they're blind even though there's nothing wrong with their eyes, or they might act as though their hand can't move even though there's nothing physically wrong with the hand. And there are other similar types of symptoms that might arise. So it says here, symbolizing cop-outs. They are heavily engaged in responsibility and accountability avoidance, arising from an overindulgent, sexualizing, and highly enmeshed, intensely denial-dominated family in which they were systematically sexploitated and in effect turned into the spouse of the parent or parents. It had the effect of developmentally flatlining them in the infancy period. So this is a family dynamic that might be present in this particular situation when someone displays those symptoms. Of course, it's not just our social environment, it's also how the individual processes or responds or reacts to that. So a person isn't defined or doomed per se by what happens with their family. They have the power to process that in a different way, to heal, to restore their own balance or equilibrium, and not be stuck in that reactive pattern, a pattern that in some way might serve a function for them, but in another sense is actually dysfunctional. So in the case of this functional neurological disorder, this conversion disorder, you might use some mind-body healing method, something like energy psychology or hypnosis, to access their subconscious and help it perceive things in a different way, where they don't have to block their own functioning in order to communicate whatever message they're trying to communicate, or to avoid whatever responsibility they're seeking to avoid. So the subconscious mind has some purpose or intention behind those symptoms, and therapeutically we want to access that part of the mind to help it consider a different way of handling the stress or challenge that it's been exposed to. I hope that this has given you some input or insight into this particular pattern, this particular mental health concern. This is really one of many different psychosomatic types of conditions, or at least ones that are very obviously psychosomatic. If we think about health and wellness, we can consider that there's a psychosomatic element to pretty much any condition or syndrome someone might be displaying, since the mind and body are really inseparable. The body is in some way reflecting patterns that exist in the mental and emotional levels of that person's being. For those who are interested in holistic health and wellness, I invite you to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. You can learn more about holistic health issues and services that I offer. For now, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.